Hello, my family. Welcome back to Weekend Riffs. Today's riff is inspired by silence. In conversations about impactful music production, we often find ourselves looking for big sounds, heavy impacts, or huge, lush soundscapes to sort of fill the stage. But truly, I've always found that the most impactful moments in productions tend to use some form of silence. It's exactly the same as when you see a photo that has an object for scale next to it. It's exactly like that. Without careful use of dynamics, you're depriving your listener of the perspective that actually gives the production its size. Today's riff is inspired by that. I've got a super aggressive noise gate on my guitar tone today, and I'm just going to use that gate to access silence as I'm writing today's riff. Let's get started. And there's our silence right there. I definitely hear space for a lead of some sort. Let's start playing around with something. Yeah, that kind of thing. That's nice. I've got a melody to start the next section. That's nice. I hear something in that for sure. Want a little more clarity on these? All right, I want to double this lead with some kind of synth that's going to define the notes a bit better. Let me try something. Wow. Guys, I'm putting a Juno synth into Archetype Misha, basically just using the pedals and post effects with a little bit of EQ going on, and I love this sound. Complements that lead guitar nicely. All right, so let's stick to the theme here of silence. I think I'm going to have like a complete dropout right there and then a big section. Trying to think of a groove for this that's not the usual dotted eighth thing I always do. The dun 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 dun. Maybe I'll have the entire rhythm section doing something straight while the melody on the top remains dotted, syncopated, kind of like this. Maybe a little fill right there. Like that, yeah. This sounds huge. All right, so first off, I'm going to have the guitar stop playing for this last bar. That's already pretty impactful, but I want to go one further. And in the mix view here, I'm going to assign these to a VCA. I feel like I've done this with you guys before, but I'm just going to do it again because it's pretty sweet. Don't sleep on it. In case you didn't know, a VCA is just a controller for faders. It allows you to discretely control the volume of faders without having to automate them. So I do the automation here, and this VCA tells the other tracks to shut up at that certain point. And it happens discreetly, so I don't have to see faders flying around, which I don't like. That's always annoying. So this dropout is going to bring it everything total silence at the end here. All right, now all I need to do is adjust this one curve and everything will drop out with it. Ooh, I might do it even shorter than this, so just the last beat of that bar is totally silent. Yeah, and now all it needs is some kind of riser. All right, just for shits in this middle section, what if I do another little break? Not like dead silence, because I don't think that'll be tasteful here, but what if it's like a fill into like a choke, and then back in? Let's try something. Yes. I'm going to cut some more parts out at this transition just to give it some space to breathe, to make that second impact hit too. Maybe I'll only cut out one of the guitars. All right. And now, as is tradition, I'm going to end it with a breakdown. Let's start with the first riff, and I'm going to strip it back, just make it unreasonably heavy. This is going to need some China. It's got to be half as often, like that. All right, one more thing I'm going to do with silence is I'm going to make this a really staccato kind of stop time moment where the drums play the riff with the guitar. There's an Opeth song I'm thinking of off of Ghost Reveries, but I can't remember which one it is, so I'm just going to play a snippet over me right now talking so that you, in the future, can hear it and know what's in my head right now. Using like a super tight hi-hat. Ooh, maybe like on the same cymbal. I'm going to have like the pedal chick underneath it. Nice. And make this one last cymbal hit. Yep. Yes. That's how it ends. I'm going to change this guitar part though. It's got to be a bit more breakdowny. Once again, the Barkey open chugs. I don't know if I like that articulation for this breakdown. It always sounds nasty, but I don't know if I need to go that nasty for this one. Maybe that's what I do. Yeah, more palm muted. Even that, I'm not really sure. Do I just play it like normal? I think normal, but I'll just do it a little more staccato. Yeah, and end with a really growly palm mute. There we go. Now just a nasty impact at the beginning of this breakdown, and we'll call it. Wait, real quick, I heard something I wanted to add. Check it out. Kind of sick, right? Yeah, that's what I want. Whew. All right, I think I'm just about done here. Let's give this a listen. It hits. It hits. Some of these ideas I did not think I would come up with today. Like, kind of surprised myself with this melody and the kind of heroic chords. I wasn't expecting to take that direction, and then I just kind of followed it. It happened on its own. Some of these transitions I'd probably change a little bit because I used silence effectively, but then the way the layers came back in, I could probably do better. This was a tough one for me today, guys. Honestly, I was having trouble finding inspiration. I kept getting interrupted along the way, so I was kind of just powering through and trying to find inspiration, even though my head's a little bit elsewhere. But I'm really glad that I sat down and did this today. I love these ideas. And I love producing with a kind of theme to explore. Looking for places to use silence to maximize the impact was a lot of fun. Let me know if you guys like that, having like a theme for the episode where I kind of choose a production trick beforehand and then I find a use for it, because it's fun. It's fun and it works. Very cool. Love these ideas. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Weekend Riffs. Please leave me a like if you like this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I do these every week, so you're going to want to subscribe and click on the bell below to get notified whenever I post. It really helps the channel, and it'll let you know whenever I upload an episode of Weekend Riffs or an episode of my other series called RTFM, where I talk about the tools we use to make music and how they can inspire music. If that sounds interesting to you, I'd love to see you there. See you next time. Peace.